are ripping along, guys. This is a big boat that you can sleep the whole family on, and we're ripping along at 47 mile an hour. So picture this, guys. Deep V, cutting bow, huge amount of volume, and twin V12 600 horsepower Mercury's on the back. This boat has got an uber amount of capability. Think about day boating. You, 13 plus people, she'll take 14 in total. Think about overnighting. You and a partner, or the whole family. The accommodation is amazing. Separate video to this one. Think about supporting your super yacht or a sailing regatta, whether you want to load it up with sails or with your crew or tow it behind a big boat. And just think about every possible awesome day boat activity you can think of, and this Fjord 41 XP will do that for you. You're watching Dan's Boat Life. My name's Dan Jones. Welcome once again to Florida. I am having a great time in this place. And as I said, we're on the Fjord 41 XP. This thing, it really is amazing. If you've already seen the 41 XL video that I have done, I'll leave a link to that in the description below if you haven't. We're on the same hull, but what we're on this time, instead of having the inboard stern drives, this is Australian suitable, this is American suitable, and this is probably good for some of you guys in Palmer as well, because the Outboards gives us so much more capability, is the word I'm going to use today. Whether we want the speed, which we're going to be talking about in this video, or whether we want the shallow water access, basically you've got it. The serviceability is much more suited to warm climates as well. So in this video, we're going to be running through the speeds, we're going to be running through how it feels. The weight distribution is obviously going to be different with the engines placed in a different part of the boat, and I'm going to talk to you about the fuel flow so you can get a feel for whether you like this version or whether you like the XL version, and try and put it into perspective for you as well. So I'm just going to actually dial back the speed a little bit, because I was cruising at 38 miles an hour before, and I'm just going to come back to something a little bit more sensible. So at 34 miles an hour, 4,800 revs, these motors are hardly working. Let's back it off even more. Let's just back it off to what I would think of as a slow cruise on this boat, which is going to be a fast cruise on the other one. So let's just sit on 4,600 revs. That's giving me a fuel rate of 24 gallons an hour per side. Okay, so that's giving me a speed return of 33 miles an hour. Now let's just bring it up to a little bit faster. 4,900 revs, 34 miles an hour, and let's just hover it around about that 5,000 rev mark. 27 gallons a side, 35 mile an hour. These engines are hardly awake at the moment. Now I'm going to go through a couple of turns. We've got some boats in the water here that I don't want to get too close to, so I'll avoid them before I accelerate some more. Next observation: if you are a solo operator, if you are a captain, or if you are an owner driver, you are going to love this thing. The reason why I say that, the visibility from all points is epic. These high sides mean it's a very dry ride. We're in the ocean. There is a little bit of swell left over from the wind yesterday. We haven't had a lick of water anywhere at any point, and I'll prove that when we get into the other video as well. There's just no water coming over to the deck. So very comfortable, very dry. From an owner-operator's perspective, me at 5'7" with the half windshield option, because you can do a full windshield, I don't have any wind vortices in my face, so I'm totally fine. The wind starts here, and then that's the breeze coming in the side there, so that's not accurate, but from this side I've got wind protection up to about there and here. So what I'm going to do now is just accelerate through a little bit more of a turn, and will give you some faster speed. She really does give you a good amount of fun feedback as well. Going through some waves, 1, 2, 3, smooth, comfortable. Heel angle, really, really aggressive, but the roof is high enough for me to see, so not dangerous. Coming through, let's give it some more speed. Let's do some S turns this time. So I'm coming in at 36 knots, just gonna simulate having fun, because that's what you do on this. I have the Humphrey stabilizers on auto, and I've got the engine trim on auto, running Mercury V12 600 horsepower. She's more like 43 plus feet, by the way. She's not 41 feet. So the amount of heel there, you can adjust it as you see fit. If you want to do less heel, just turn less. If you want to do a lot of heel, give it a bit more. The boat's going to go with you. And the feedback is what I'm looking for on a boat like this. With the outboards, you expect it to be more fun, and I'm feeling that right now. Now I'm going to come through the turn, coming through at 40 miles an hour, 46 aside, that's in gallons, 5,700 revs at the moment. Next observation, noise levels are minimal. They really are minimal. You could have conversations all the way around the decks on this boat. Remember, you can have 14 people if you choose. So from a social perspective, this really feels like a crossover between a sedan style boat and a proper open day boat, mid-day boat, because of the design of the roof. I'm just going to come through and we're going to really wind it up to full speed now. So with these noise levels on this motor, coming through a few waves, choppity chop, completely smooth, totally dry, more speed. I can feel the engine doing a little bit of trim there. The hull just laps it up. This is going to be a great boat for any of you wanting to do some transiting up and down the coast, short trips, running across the Bahamas here in America, and I can think of many places to do the same back home in Australia and also in Europe, where I've spent a bit of time now. This thing is going to be amazing. Coming through at 42 knots, I'm seeing 40 aside. Let's accelerate. Cut through this turn. Don't even need to lower my head. I really like the design of this roof. It's giving me shade, it's giving me protection, and I've got epic visibility. I feel at ultimate control right now. Bow raise is totally acceptable. 43 mile an hour. I'm not foot to the floor. Now I'm increasing power. 43, 44. Now that's foot to the floor. Through a couple of waves there. 45 mile an hour. 52 aside. Through a couple of waves right now. 46 mile an hour. We are ripping along, guys. This is a big boat that you can sleep the whole family on, and we're ripping along at 47 mile an hour. Let's see if we can get to 50. Give it a bit of a trim up. 6,530 revs. That was amazing. Let's just back it off there. And I've just set off a sensor. It's just a sensor, we've already checked it. It's got some water in it, so don't worry about that. So that was incredible. So what I'm going to do now is back the speed off, and we'll just test the boat in joystick mode, because one thing you're going to have to get used to with these new 600s is the engines don't go from left to right. So if you're used to looking over your shoulder and predicting or just observing where the engines are to factor that into your maneuvers, you're going to have to do one of two things. Instead of looking over and looking at the motors, you've got to count your turns or look at the rudder angle indicator on your dash, which you have as well. So it is something that I find you can get used to with relative ease, because the boat's going forward and it's pretty obvious which way it's pointing. So it's something you're going to get used to within seconds. But if you want to transit from throttle to joystick, this particular system, you have the skyhook, so you can just press the button and stay or remain stationary. I'm just going to give it some reverse throttle there to bring the boat to a full stop. Or if you want to do the maneuvering around the dock, you can just go throttle's neutral and hand, left or right, it doesn't matter, straight down to the joystick. There you go. As soon as you touch the joystick, it activates. So I'm actually just going to now slip the boat to starboard. So smooth. Yeah, really good on these 600s. I've not been a huge fan of the Mercury joystick system on some of the smaller motors in the past, but when you put them on these bigger, heavier boats, and particularly this twin 600s, that's smooth. It just feels like it's a lot more suitable for this style and weight of boat. Now I'm just going to swivel it on a dime, so I'm just putting some starboard input. So that's a little bit weird, not looking back now from this angle, and the engine's not moving, but once again, you just got to get used to it because the boat will start to move. There you go. So now let's transition back to throttles. So I always like to, if I'm operating the joystick with my hand, I always like to reduce my power gently. I don't just let go of the joystick. I don't know if you can, but I don't suggest that that's wise. So now let's just try a good old-fashioned transverse thrust and see what happens there. I'm just going to starboard. Oh, the Coast Guard's out today. We've got planes overhead, helicopters down low. They must be doing some sort of practice. Yeah, I'd want to have a play with this for a little bit more just to get the hang of it, to be honest, because it's doing it, but I feel like the joystick, for once, is actually a little bit more natural. So there you go. For those of you who love the joystick, going from transverse thrust in the traditional manner to the joystick, if you want to maneuver the boat on the dime, I feel like the joystick might actually be your optimal piece of kit for this particular boat. So I just learned a little bit more about the transverse thrust when I turned the cameras off, guys. So just pay attention to really center the wheels and then engage slowly, and it does work. But I am going to say, because of the counter-rotational propellers, one going this way and one going this way, use the joystick. It just makes much more sense. It's going to be a lot more intuitive for you on a boat like this. So I hope you got a lot out of that. I certainly did. Let's come out the back and finish this video near these beautiful big V12's, which I'm a fan of, and I think you should be too, because hopefully you can notice right now, we're on a beach. We're on a 43-foot boat. She's over 43 feet long in length. She's a big, capable, spacious thing, and we can pull it right up to the beach and step off and get into the water. That's what I love about a beautiful med-style day boat with outboards. All the other benefits aside, for us Australians and you Americans, if you're in a hot climate, you go boating all year round, you're going to see a massive amount of value in having a pair of these strapped on the back of the boat, being able to trim them fully up and out of the water, which we can, and service them whilst they're in the water too. So higher cruising speeds, higher top speeds, more capability, and just do more things with your boat. So that's why I believe this Fjord 41 XP is possibly a game changer for many of you. So if you haven't seen the walkthrough, separate video, go and have a look at it right now. You've been watching Dan's Boat Life. My name's Dan Jones. Thanks so much. I'll see you on the next one.